Have you ever felt like you're constantly juggling your work life or your business or your entrepreneurship journey and your personal and social life, but in the end you end up just kind of dropping everything and kind of letting everyone down, including yourself? Well, that's a feeling that I have felt a couple years ago where I was teaching as an instructor and I was trying to maintain, a social life with my friends and my family. And I was trying to do so many different things, so many different responsibilities, but I didn't fully understand what a work life balance and trying to maintain it truly was. I kind of just tried to do maximizing everything, all of my time into all of my responsibilities. And in the end, I got resentment from my peers, from my family, and, from myself because I felt I let everyone down when it's not easy, but it is doable to maintain a respectable work-life balance. And today's video is going to be talking about how you can try to achieve this. It does take time, it does take effort, but there's nothing better, in my opinion, where you can dedicate a good, healthy work-life balance. Hello, everyone. My name is Jonathan Kino, and I help teach the next generation. So, to start a work-life balance, you need to have set boundaries. You need to clearly define what hours are your work hours and what hours are your personal hours, or hours that are dedicated for you and your peers and your family and such. And along this line as well, is you need to also clearly define what your goals are, because this will make the work-life balance a bit more clear. So if your goals are to make as much money as possible in this certain amount of time, or if your goals are to spend this specific time with your family because something big is happening where you won't be with them, you have to kind of clearly define that, because it makes it a bit easier in defining work hours. So there was a time during that period where I was 100% focused on working on my business and working on the instructor as an instructor. So I had to, as a sacrifice, had to give up family time and I had to give up my social life. So you may not want that in the end. You may want, trying 50-50 or 60-40 as best you can. So it's up to you to decide. So what I would do, or what I did in that scenario, was I kind of used a calendar. Wasn't fully into time blocking and such yet, but I did use a calendar to say, okay, so here's the time that I work on my business. Here's the time I work on, as an instructor. Here's the times I eat. And so with whatever time I have left, what can I do for family, or what can I do for business? So if you can just figure out on a calendar what times you work and what times you eat, you can kind of get a better idea of what's going on, and you can kind of communicate this to, if you're working with other people, your colleagues, or more specifically your family and friends. Like, so these are the times that I'm not going to be available. So if you want to do something, we have to do it in the times where I'm not busy. So you kind of, with this calendar, you can kind of clearly visualize. So if someone asks me to do something, I know I have to say no. It's not of, I'll get back to you. If someone asks you, let's say you work from like 9 to 5, for example, someone asks you to go out at 4 or at 3 on Tuesdays, like, well, I'm working at the time, so I have to say no. It's not that you feel bad. Well, you might, but it's that your boundaries and you have to respect them, even yourself. I know they're set for other people, but you have to respect your own boundaries that you've created. But that doesn't mean you have to sacrifice everything. So what you should do is you should prioritize your self-care in a way. I don't like the word self-care, but you should prioritize yourself as well. If you let yourself falter, then it doesn't matter about the boundaries. It doesn't matter if you want to maintain a work-life balance. If you're not at 100% or as close to, it doesn't matter what you do. You will never feel at your best. So make sure you're still scheduling your exercise, if whether you're running, you're lifting weights, you're doing a sport, that you still do it. You want to stay physically active, because it's one thing to be, present, but being physically active just has so many benefits as well that I don't even want to get into, because there's so many. And if you want to as well, you can also practice meditation or mindfulness as well to kind of alleviate stress as well in that regard as well. But I think the biggest thing, if you don't want to exercise, don't want to do meditation, the biggest thing you can do overall is to make sure you're getting good, adequate sleep. And I mean by that is you're getting good quality sleep for a long enough period of time. So if there's anything that you should take away from this, is that you need to make sure your sleep is on point. The sleep, honestly, probably the most important thing that I focus on nowadays. Because if I have a bad sleep, I wake up and I don't feel great. I was like, oh crap, I'm not gonna have a good day today. I didn't get enough sleep. Sleep is that important. Is that important in my opinion. If you don't sleep well, you're kind of fucked. And not having a good sleep schedule will ruin the whole work-life balance you're trying to achieve. So after we've established, okay, so we're going to have this time for exercise, we're going to do this for meditation, or we're going to have these hours specific for sleep and your sleep, then I would go to time management, figure out what the highest priority tasks are, what are the biggest things that you can do for goals. And if because you're trying to achieve work-life balance, I would actually try and color code. I personally color code based on, things that I do. So I have color for recurring task, color for the deep work task or the highest task, and then a color for stuff that is still necessary to do, but it's not as important in terms of for work. So like going out and sourcing, going out and finding, other ways to find books, that's important, but I can do it at any point. It's not specific to like, this is the most important thing for that day. So you can also find these things as well. What's the most important thing that you have to do every day and get that done, preferably first. So you use the eat the frog principle that I've talked about before on this channel. And then you avoid multitasking. I know a lot of people try to, and I personally, would love to have the idea of multitasking working, but truthfully, it doesn't work. You can't focus on so many different things at the same time. It's better to just put all your focus into one single task so you can get that done with as most efficiency and with the most, perfection as possible. So focus on that and do that over time, and you'll see as time goes on, the most important thing gives you the most results, and the most results will probably make your boss happy, make yourself happy, and your family or friends will be proud of you. It's like, oh damn, you're getting shit done, my guy. With this, however, you're gonna be exhausted. So I would take breaks regularly, take time to recharge, maybe take a couple minutes after you complete a big session, or like you time block for 2 hours of just dedicated work. Take some time, stretch, go out, go take a walk, talk with colleagues, like relax. You can't, and I wouldn't recommend going balls deep into work 24/7. Like I've done it. It sucks. You can only do it for a short period of time, like a day or two, but trying to have that stay for an extended period of time, it doesn't really work, if that makes sense. You can't give 24/7 effort for an extended period of time. So take some breaks. And another thing you could do is take some time away from technology as well. I recently did a detox of no YouTube and such for a couple of days. And I found that in that time I was more productive, I was more in tune with my family, and I was more focused overall into my surroundings. So I would take some time off of, things that are digital. So your social media, your video games, your YouTube, stuff like that, just for a bit. You don't have to sacrifice it entirely, but take some time away from it and you'll see just how much other things are so much more valuable to your time compared to those things. And then finally, and more importantly, is to have not just time with your family or with your friends, or on all those lines. Try and have quality time. Try and go and have meaningful interactions, not just being around them. That's not enough. I remember reading in The Way of the Superior Man, where your woman would appreciate it more if you spend 30 minutes of uninterrupted time and attention to her than if you spent an entire day with her where you're thinking of other things or talking about other things that aren't pertaining to you guys' relationship. And that same principle also follows to family time. If you're there, you're present, and your family can see that, or your friends can see that, like they're going to appreciate that more compared to if you're there, but you seem like you're thinking of other things like work. It's like, man, what am I going to do for that? Did you say something? I wasn't paying attention. I was saying something. Like, they're going to notice that pretty quickly. So when you hang out with people or when you're with your family, make sure you give your undivided attention to them. And they'll really appreciate that. And you remember, and you never know, you might create some dumbass moments or some fun ass moments. Like, you never know. And these are memories that are going to last. Whereas if you don't pay attention, you won't remember them and they won't mean anything. And this whole point of creating a work-life balance doesn't mean anything. So make sure when you are with people that you do put your attention to them. Just forget about work, forget about your responsibilities, enjoy your time with them. Try and make some fun memories. I would also recommend to dedicate time to your hobbies and passions outside of work, where I know when I was still working as an instructor, I was doing books, my book business at the time. And with the book business, I was finding creative ideas and new ways to kind of innovate. I was still kind of growing in how to, all right, so I have this book. What ways can I do to sell it? How can I get more books? Like, I was still trying to find creative ways and how to make as much money as possible with the books. And that translated to work because I was like, okay, so what can I do to make classes more exciting? What ideas could I present to people? And, over time that elevated the level of my teaching to where I would say I was the most trusted individual to teach. Where a funny story, actually, there was one class, it was the little kids class that I usually taught. And I was supposed to teach, the class like normal, but one of the assistant instructors came to all of us other instructors and said, hey, the boss's daughter is going to be in class today. And that immediately put the fear of God in me because I knew his family was here as well. His parents were here. So you need to picture this real quick, okay? So you have the boss's daughter in your class, and here are the people watching. So other parents, obviously, for the other students in the class. Then you have the boss's daughter. You have the boss looking, the boss's mom looking, the boss's father, and the boss's mother all looking at you because you're the main instructor and you're the one teaching the class. Do you understand how stressful that was? Do you understand how much stress was put upon me because I'm the main teacher of this class? And the reason I got through it was because I did new things that weren't being done in the classes. All the other instructors had their set routines, but I was doing different and new things. So on that day, I did something new and I did something different, and it worked. And I had fun with it. So the students had fun with it. So they learned the material that I was trying to teach them. Because as an instructor, you can do, I would say, pretty much whatever you want in terms of teaching, as long as the students truly understand what you're teaching. So if you're trying to teach them a basic kick, well, you hope they understand the basic kick, stuff like that. So in the end, if I didn't have the book stuff, I wouldn't have the knowledge and the time necessary to truly excel as an instructor. So overall, trying to maintain a work-life balance ultimately I'm really struggling with words. It ultimately comes down to what you are aiming for. So during that time, I was aiming for trying to get as much income as possible and funnel it into my business so that my business could grow enough income so I wouldn't need to work anymore. So what your time may be is you may be aiming to spend more time with family because you may have kids. And you may want to grow up with them and teach them, be around them. So your goal might be 40% work, 60% spending time with family. Or you might be, all right, I will sacrifice some time now, growing up, like myself, and just dedicate all my time into work and give my family and such the undivided attention with the little time I give them. So I think at the end of the time, I was giving 90% of my time to work. So they would only see me for an hour. So I would make sure to give them my undivided attention for that hour I had. So I talked with them, I laughed with them, I hung around them for a bit, and then I would get back to work. And they would remember that more than if I was just there, not really thinking about them, just kind of thinking of other things. So this is a very difficult thing to do. But if you can get it correct and get the idea of giving your undivided attention when you give them the time, I think you'll succeed. But this will take a lot of effort. There's a lot of things I've talked about before where it's like, oh, do time blocking and it doesn't take that long. Do the Eisenhower matrix, it doesn't take that long. This one will take time because you're going to have to finagle and you're going to have to figure it out. But once you get it figured out after some time, probably a month or so, you really feel like you've accomplished something amazing that a lot of people wish they did, which is having that work-life balance that a lot of people wish they did. So If you would like to learn how to achieve a work-life balance, whether you're an entrepreneur, a businessman, a 9 to 5, there's a link down below for my coaching package where I will do whatever I can to not only help you with work-life balance, but also teach you all the time management techniques and tricks and tips and such. And I will guide you to becoming an elite level time management individual.